It's me. Europa 101 Part 3. Let's get into it. What are you doing? No. Hit the subscribe thing. Yeah, no, the subscribe thing down there. Yeah. The thumb thing too, hit that. All right. Cool. Okay, here we are again with Europa. We have already learned about the engines, we've learned about the modifiers, the spectral filter, unison, the mixer section, the filter, the amp, and now we will learn about the envelopes. So here we go. There are 4 envelopes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So far we know all the spots that have been kind of hardwired. I showed you earlier. We're going to mess with those since we haven't gotten to the modulation matrix yet. Specifically, we will focus on the filter. So I have this saw wave here, playing a chord. I'll route the saw to the filter, and then I'll make it so that this kind of semi-hardwired guy is pointed to envelope 1. And we'll look at envelope 1. That's envelope 1. It's this pluck type shape currently. And then we need to dial in some amount here. So now, if I play keys, you can hear the modulation. You can hear the envelope is making this knob open really quickly and then close really quickly. Open really quickly and close really quickly based on the speed. Now I'm playing 3 notes right now. I'm playing a chord. And you can hear that the envelopes by default are actually polyphonic. So you're hearing an envelope for each note that I'm playing. I'm playing 3 notes. That's not your typical behavior for an envelope, for it to be polyphonic like that. If you want the envelope to behave in the typical fashion, this global button is what you would press. So now one envelope shape affects all 3 keys that I'm going to press right now. And I'm just holding the key down there. You can slow the envelope down with this knob here. You can speed it up. You probably noticed that this envelope is looping currently. You can turn that off by pressing this button here. Now it behaves like a typical envelope. I hold the key down, it runs its course in a unidirectional type fashion, and then it stops. You can change the shape of the envelope just by double clicking anywhere. Boom, you just make points. Points change the shapes. You will not run out of points. You can make as many points as you feel. There is a limit, but you'll never hit it. You can curve the shape by just dragging on the line here. So if I hold 3 keys again, hold some keys, we hear the entire modulation. Again, we'll hear it slower. And it just stops when it gets to the end and holds. If the end was more open, the filter would be halfway open there or so, or whatever, halfway from here to here. So I guess around here. So, and it just stops and holds there. And it just stops and holds there. Move that back down. You can add a sustain phase to the envelope. Now it's more like your typical ADSR with the sustain phase, the S. So if we were to put the sustain phase here, when the filter would be fully open to this parameter setting here, then you'll see that when I hold the key, the envelope will run to the sustain phase, hold at the sustain phase for as long as I hold the key, and then when I release, it will execute the release phase. So that sounds like this. Now you saw it run through the release phase. However, you do not hear that release phase. The reason you don't is because the amp envelope, which is obviously at the end of this signal chain, is closing the release before this release can run. So if you just add some release time to the amp envelope, if you add some release time to the amp envelope, then you'll hear it. See? So there you go. Add some sustain, add the sustain in. It holds at the sustain point, and again, this can be moved to anywhere. Now it'll hold there. And release. So that's the sustain function. Now, I mentioned that you can change the shape of the envelope yourself by just double clicking. There's also presets. So there's this pluck shape. There's a bunch of shapes, as you can see. Some complex, some simple. So you could grab that and use that as your envelope. You can also edit these envelopes quickly and kind of this edit Y position just edits the amplitude quickly. So you could like kind of do a little, just kind of quickly. And if you add a point here, you can just edit its Y position. You see how it doesn't, I can't move it on the X axis, only on the Y axis. So you can quickly kind of make some changes to an existing waveform. It's just another way to edit these quickly. So that's the edit Y position button. Let me grab a preset really quick. So when we first started, you noticed that the envelope was looping. That makes it behave more like an LFO than an envelope, which is really cool. So you essentially have LFOs with shapes you can draw. So that's cool. So if we hold a key down, you'll hear this LFO run this shape, which is going to close it. Here, we'll close the filter all the way and have this parameter open it all the way. So it's going to start, it's going to run, open the filter, and close the filter. You get the idea? Again, with the speed parameter. You can beat sync this parameter. So at this 1/4 setting, that is to say, it'll take a quarter beat for the envelope to run from here to here, for it to run its full oscillation, its full course. Currently, the LFO is free running. As you can see, this triangle shows you that it's just running. And as I press a button, I'll make it really slow. As I press a button, I just catch it wherever it's running. So if I press a button now, I caught it at the bottom, but if I press a button later, like now, I have to wait for it to swell again. You can change that behavior by pressing this key trig button. Now, the keys that I press trigger the envelope to restart. So if it's over here and I press the button now, it restarts at the beginning. So if I press it now, it'll trigger it back to the beginning. That's what that button does. Each envelope can be set to be bipolar or unipolar. That just means that the modulation on the parameter in bipolar mode can modulate the parameter both in the positive and in the negative. So we'll take this same shape. And if we set it to bipolar, what it's going to do is, and if you see the frequency knob is set to the middle, that means at its lowest point, it can go to the lowest point of the knob of this setting, so below the middle point. So that's negative. And then it'll go, and then, so in this case, it'll close all the way, and then it'll open all the way to here, because that's the highest point of the envelope, and then it'll close all the way. So it'll go up past the middle, and then back down past the middle. So you'll get So since it's bipolar and it sets in the middle, you're getting a full sweep of the entire filter. Now, set to unipolar, it won't pass the middle point. It won't go into the negative space. So you're actually going to get a motion that starts from the middle here, from this arrow, goes all the way up, I mean, theoretically past 100%, and then comes back down to the middle. As you can see, the filter never closes fully. It never goes past this point here. I hope that's clear. So that's unipolar versus bipolar on your envelopes. Another thing I wanted to show you was the fact that you can use envelopes 3 and 4 as opposite ends of a wavetable for any envelope. It's kind of an interesting way to say that. So here, I'll just show you. So you could take this shape and make it for your engine. So on this side, it's envelope 3. As you can see, it's the same shape. And if I change the shape, it changes there too. So I can make this shape the beginning of my wavetable, and then this shape the end of my wavetable. And I'll use this edit Y position thing just to be fun. We'll do some sort of shape like that. Why not? So then if I hold a key, that's what that side sounds like. Ill. Another thing I wanted to show you were the global performance and play controls here. So when this is set to poly, that makes Europa a polyphonic synth. You can play multiple notes based on the voice count. I think you get up to 16. Yeah, you get 16 voices. Pretty straightforward there. When you set it to re-trigger, that's the same thing pretty much as setting voice count to 1. So it becomes a mono synth. Also, let me engage the filter and give it some envelope 1 action. When it's on retrig mode, each note that you play will interrupt the last. So even if you play legato, each note re-triggers the envelope as well. So I play a note, I'm holding it, I play a new note, it re-triggers the envelope, the shape re-happens, and it re-modulates the filter in this case. If you have it on legato, it's the same, it's mono as well. However, when you play legato, the filter doesn't reopen. Here, let me open this just a little bit more so you can hear it. But if I let go of the key and play the next key, the filter redoes its thing. The envelope re-triggers. Now there's portamento settings. It's off by default. Now if you turn portamento on and you're set to poly, you have polyphonic portamento. That means each individual key bends. Oh. Oh, my voice count. I was like, why is this messing up? My voice count was too low over here. Let me add some voices. And each individual note bends. Now, if you have portamento on and you have it on retrig, it will portamento everything that you play, and the envelope re-triggers as well. So it bends and retriggers. If you have portamento on auto, you only get the portamento if you play legato. So if I play non-legato, I don't know what that's called, then in that case, the notes just jump. If I play legato, though, you'll hear the bend. Without the envelope retriggering. Same if you have it on legato and auto. And then this time parameter is just how long it takes to bend the notes. Slower, faster, easy peasy. Really quickly, we can go over the LFOs. There's not much to say about them. Actually, they work the same exact way as the envelopes, except that they are more simple. The envelopes in loop mode are the same thing as the LFOs, but with less shapes. So here, we'll just really quickly point this at LFO 1. Now we have LFO 1 imparting a triangle shape onto the frequency knob at this speed. We can obviously change the speed slower, faster, beat sync it, everything you know. Key sync works the same way. It's just running in the background right now, you know, and you catch it when you catch it. With key sync on, when you press it, it re-triggers the LFO so that it's in time with your press. Again, the LFOs are also polyphonic, so one for each key. Do I have the right? Let me turn this on back onto poly. So here you'll hear 3 different envelopes. Sorry, 3 different LFOs because I'm pressing the keys at a time. So you hear each one because it's polyphonic. But if you turn on global, once again, one shape for all 3 keys, which is the typical way. Another cool parameter is this delay parameter. That is to say, the LFO will wait for a second after you, for as much time as you dial in here, to engage. It'll wait a second. You get the idea. So that's the LFOs. All 3 of them are identical. There are just simple shapes. Sine, triangle, square, saw, this random step, this pluck one, which is cool. That's unique. The stair step one. There's just a bunch of different ones. The noise one. And they can be pointed to anything. Obviously, as we stand with this series, we've seen how you can point them using these, like I said, these semi-hardwired spots. On the next video, I will bust open the modulation matrix, and I will show you how you can modulate pretty much anything on this synth with this modulation matrix. And we'll go over the effects as well. So there you have it, the envelopes and LFO section of Europa. It's getting crazy now. Yeah, I hope you're having fun following along. I hope these are helpful for you. If they are, please, please, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join the team of winners that win or something. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.